Polyfamily boundaries are crossed. Sneak peek. Last week, Polyfamily viewers saw the quad go away for the weekend to celebrate Taya's birthday. The foursome left the kids with Taya's parents, and they went to celebrate her special day on the water in a hot tub yacht, basically a floating hot tub. They shared that while away on trips, they still maintain their rotating schedules, so it was Taya and Tyler's night together. Once back home, things seem to get a little heated when some boundaries are crossed. What will happen tonight on an all-new episode of Polyfamily? Keep reading to get all the details. The Polyfamily quad faces issues in new episode. TLC fans have been getting to know the quads who make up the Polyfamily. Their group consists of Elysia and Tyler Rogers, and Scene and Taya Heartless. The two men switch back and forth between their wife and their girlfriend. In last week's episode, fans saw the ongoing drama continue after it was discovered that Tyler is most likely the biological father of Taya's new baby, Quentin. It created some awkward moments between Scene and Tyler, but the two were eventually able to talk and come to an understanding. Now this week, fans will see them back at home after celebrating Taya's birthday in Portland last week. New sneak peeks are showing what fans can expect, and there seems to be some conflict going on. The quad is seen talking, and Elysia asks if it was hard being away from the baby overnight. Taya tells her it was harder on the drive there than during the actual evening. Tyler jumped in and said they were good once they got settled in. He then started talking about having edible body paint and that he liked it off her arm. In the background, Scene says, "Sexy," while Taya says it was straight syrup. Elysia says in a confessional that she does not want to know about the intimate details of their night together. As Tyler notes that it was hard getting intimate again after having a baby, Elysia says she's out and doesn't need to know all that. Things got awkward when she said she didn't want to know about it. Elysia tells Tyler how she feels. Polyfamily star Elysia confronts Tyler in a confessional and asks him why he would tell her about the intimate details of his overnight date with Taya. She went on to say that she made it clear it was not something she cared to know about. He said he wasn't really talking about the sex part of it, just their activities and intimacy leading up to it. She said edible body paint is part of that. Tyler went on to say that he is used to being open around Taya and Scene, and has to remind himself to censor what he says around Elysia. She doesn't seem very happy with his answer. Fans will be able to tune in and see more drama unfold as Tyler and Elysia continue to discuss it. The quad will also talk about possible options for making them all legal guardians of their children. In the previous episode, Tyler noted it's hard to know that Quentin is his biological son, but he has no legal claim to him at all. Scene's name is on the birth certificate since he is Taya's legal husband. What happens when polyfamily boundaries are ignored? In the heart of any relationship, monogamous or plural, lie agreements. Some are spoken, others silently understood. In a polyamorous or polygamous family, these agreements aren't just about two people. They're a delicate web woven between multiple partners, children, emotions, and identities. In a world that already questions their love, polyfamilies rely on trust, mutual respect, and clearly drawn boundaries to function. But what happens when those boundaries are crossed? This is the story of a polyfamily who learned, sometimes painfully, that even love has limits. The family that chose more. The Anders family wasn't conventional by any measure. Composed of Jordan, the original patriarch, Lena, his first partner of 15 years, Mia, who joined the family after a whirlwind connection, and finally, Tessa, the free-spirited artist whose presence electrified the entire dynamic. Together, they raised 3 children in a blended household built on communication, shared parenting, and carefully structured emotional guidelines. To outsiders, it might have looked chaotic. 4 adults navigating love, jealousy, financial planning, and child-rearing under one roof. But to them, it worked. Most days anyway. Each partner had their own relationship with Jordan, and in some cases with each other. They had scheduled nights, family meetings, and a household charter they drafted in their early years, outlining what was acceptable and what crossed the line. Among the most sacred rules: no new romantic entanglements without group discussion. No surprises. The quiet breach. It started small. A text message Tessa didn't share. A series of late-night painting sessions that grew more frequent. Mia noticed first, not because she was possessive, but because the energy had shifted. Tessa, once transparent to a fault, now held something back. When Mia finally asked, Tessa waved it off. "Just a new friend," she said. "Nothing serious." But soon Lena saw it too. Then Jordan. The truth emerged not in a dramatic confrontation, but in a passive comment from one of the kids. "Mommy's friends slept over while you were gone." A boundary had been crossed, and the ripple effects were immediate. The fallout. Polyfamilies, by nature, must operate with high levels of communication. But betrayal, especially silent, secretive betrayal, doesn't care how well a system is built. It tears through with the same brutal force. The household that once shared Sunday breakfasts and collaborative chore charts now carried a thick, invisible tension. Mia withdrew emotionally. Lena, the matriarchal force who kept everything grounded, became cold and distant. Jordan felt betrayed not just as a partner, but as the one who had vouched for Tessa joining the family in the first place. Tessa tried to explain. "It didn't mean anything," she pleaded. "I just needed something for me. Something outside of all this." But polyamory isn't about collecting partners or seeking excitement. It's about intention, honesty, and shared vision. And what Tessa sought, she did alone. Rules versus freedom. The most complicated aspect of the fallout wasn't the act itself, it was what it represented. In polyfamilies, boundaries aren't there to restrict freedom. They're the framework that makes freedom possible. Each partner's autonomy is respected, but that autonomy operates within the bounds of collective trust. Tessa hadn't just kissed someone else. She had taken that freedom without asking if it was a freedom the group could afford. And while the others grappled with betrayal, Tessa struggled with guilt and confusion. She loved them, each of them. But she also craved something that no one else in the house seemed to understand. A sense of self that wasn't defined by group dynamics. Was that selfish or human? The healing process. In the weeks that followed, the Anders family entered what Lena called emotional triage. Regular family meetings resumed, but the tone had changed. They weren't just coordinating chores or date nights. They were navigating hurt, anger, fear, and perhaps most always the mediator, found himself unsure of how to rebuild trust. He had once said, "We can survive anything as long as we communicate." Now he wondered if that belief had been naive. It was Mia, surprisingly, who offered the first olive branch. "I don't forgive what you did," she told Tessa. "But I see why you did it. And if we want to stay a family, we need to learn what this means." Tessa broke down in tears. For the first time, the family didn't discuss rules or punishments. They discussed needs, emotional needs, personal boundaries, space. They began therapy, not as couples, but as a polyfamily unit. Through those sessions, truths emerged. Lena admitted she had always struggled with letting Tessa in fully. Mia confessed that she sometimes felt emotionally overlooked. Jordan realized he had spent too much energy keeping the peace and not enough checking in on individual well-being. And Tessa, She confronted her own patterns of self-sabotage, her need to be chosen, again and again, and how it clashed with the polyfamily's stability. Redrawing the boundaries. Over time, the Anders family didn't go back to the old rules. They created new ones. They talked not just about what to do, but why they needed those boundaries. Some were non-negotiable: transparency in new romantic or sexual interests. Others were more flexible. Alone time was encouraged, even prioritized, as long as it was communicated. They even implemented a reconnection week each month, where partners rotated quality time with each other, just talking, checking in emotionally, without the structure of date nights or chores. Lessons in love and limits. The breach in boundaries forced the Anders family to do something they had been avoiding: grow. Not just together, but individually. Each partner had to rediscover their emotional language, their core values, and their long-term intentions. In a monogamous relationship, trust can be repaired with time, effort, and apologies. In a polyfamily, it requires all that, and a shared coordinated decision to keep building together. Tessa's mistake, while painful, became a turning point. The family didn't collapse. Instead, it transformed. They stopped pretending everything was equal all the time, and acknowledged that fairness doesn't mean sameness. They learned that boundaries aren't just protective, they are connective. They hold people together when emotions threaten to push them apart. The new normal. Today, the Anders family looks different. Tessa still lives with them, but she also has her own studio a few blocks away, her sacred space for autonomy. Mia and Lena, once emotionally distant, have formed a surprising bond through late-night conversations and co-parenting challenges. Jordan, still the connector, has found balance not in fixing things, but in being honest when things feel broken. They aren't perfect. They still argue. They still get jealous. But now, when a boundary is tested, they respond not with silence or shame, but with conversation. And when asked what they've learned most from the experience, Lena put it simply: love isn't limitless. It's expansive, but it has contours. And when you respect those contours, love doesn't shrink. It strengthens.